How do you possibly share network marketing with someone who's a skeptic, who has a closed mind? Is it possible to open their mind? And are there specific tools that you can use to do this? Last week, I introduced you to Janine Finney, co-author of the book, The Flip-Flop CEO and Does the Shoe Fit? And we talked about a lot of things in our profession that we can and should be making better and easier. This week, we're going to get into how to use these books and the specific languaging and tools inside of them to help you navigate the murky world of introducing network marketing to those skeptics. Hey, Wealth Warrior, Jackie Almer here, and welcome back to the Street Smart Wealth Experience. I'm thrilled to have you here, and if you're new to the show, welcome. If you've been here a while, well, you know a little bit about the show and me. I'm Jackie Almer. I'm a multi-million-dollar social selling expert and your guide to master the art of the social sale for network marketing. I help network marketers, coaches, and mentors make money without annoying their family, friends, or strangers and build a thriving social selling business. We do all of this together in the Street Smart Wealth Academy. Learn more at streetsmartwealthacademy.com. And that segues right into what we are discussing here today as part 2 of my series interviewing Janine Finney, co-author of the book, The Flip-Flop CEO. If you haven't listened to last week's episode, part 1, you definitely want to go back and do that, and you will find the show notes that link you there in the show notes. All right. So with that, I'm not going to get into a whole lot about what we talked about in the past. I'm going to recap the first few minutes to kind of bring you in, and then we'll hop into part 2.
But yes, I appreciate that. I love that I love that because I think we as a profession need to become more professional, and we need to really speak differently and approach this differently and show up differently. And I really do think that personally, I believe that we represent two things. We represent products and we represent a business. And to me, I'm not going to have the same conversation about those two things. And I may not even have the same conversation with someone. I just feel like that is one area that needs to be reviewed and evaluated. And basically, if it's working for you and invite people to your business the way that you're doing it, and you're doing it through the mission of the company, then that's great. Then keep doing that. But for me and for our situation, that did not work. I believe that you can't go wrong if you are listening to somebody else's what their needs are. And if you have a solution for something, then present it in those terms.
You know, it's so true. I have a whole segment in my Street Smart Wealth Academy training, and I always trained my own team when I was actively building a business. I think this is so important because people always say, should I lead with the opportunity or do I lead with the product? And I'm like, neither. You lead with your prospect. It's just like what you're saying. What is their biggest challenge? Because it's kind of funny. You can take $100 worth of your product and a $100 bill and lay it on the table. And you ask people to pick. Most of the time, they're going to pick the $100 bill because I think more people in their mind anyway struggle with money and money issues and all of that. So I'm a big advocate of never leaving the opportunity side of it out. But it is important to know when that fits into the conversation and when you might fit it in too soon and blow it. And lose maybe your best client, your best ambassador, who ultimately will come around to build the business. But you are so right. You've got to lead with your prospect and what their biggest challenge is and what is the solution they're looking for.
And I think another thing to mention is that the person that you are talking to has been watching you. They've seen the way you do the business. They've seen what that involves. And they're evaluating, do I want to do that? Could I see myself doing that? So that's why when I got started, I didn't want somebody to see me as the whatever lady, the product lady, because I knew that these were people from corporate America. These were people that were my peers, and they, that's not what they're going to want to do either. So I feel like I show up in every single situation based on the person. I wear my product lady hat if I'm in a situation that's appropriate. I wear my business, I sell a virtual online franchise hat if I'm with somebody that is going to be appropriate for. So I think it's really important to, again, everything that you said, but realize that we are examples. We are being examples all the time. And so I think it's important to be good examples.
It is, and especially on social media. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole because we could be on that all day, but people are watching you for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's segue then into what you came up with as a solution to help explain and clear out the negativity that so many people have. You two wrote a book. So tell us about that and the journey and process.
Yes. So the journey and process was very convoluted and very complicated, but what we were in a mastermind group and everybody in the mastermind group said, you guys have got to write a book. And we said, we don't want to write a book. I think we're the only people on the planet that did not want to write a book, but they kept saying, there's different ways to do it. So we ended up writing the book. We knew exactly what we wanted it to be like. There were these books at the time. I don't know if you've ever heard of the series of books called Skinny Bitch.
Oh yeah.
So the thing about those,
but I'm going to put it on my list.
Yeah, well, they were, gosh, from like 15 or so years ago. Both of my daughters got those books, and on the cover is a stick figure, cool looking girl, and it's called Skinny Bitch. And then there's a series, Bun in the Oven, and all kinds of different, versions. But both of my daughters read those books and were crying. They were just laying on the couch bawling. And I'm like, what is up with that? This book doesn't look like it would have anything that would make you cry. And what I learned after I talked to them is that the books are actually about veganism and cruelty to animals. And they actually did a really clever thing. They attracted an audience that would never read about veganism and cruelty to animals, and they educated them about this. So they created more awareness about a topic that, maybe this audience would have wanted to know about, but they didn't know they wanted to know about. So that book is what inspired the Flip Flop CEO. We wanted to write a book that would be cool on the outside, that somebody would actually read, a skeptic would actually read, and it would be written in a cool enough way, a sassy enough way, that a skeptic would keep reading it. Because, a lot of the books that are out there are for people that already drank the Kool-Aid. And we forget about that because now we've drank the Kool-Aid too. But we wanted to write a book that somebody that didn't like network marketing or didn't have an opinion or whatever would still enjoy reading. So the Flip Flop CEO is written to connect with smart, savvy, professional women. And it's written in a way that you want to read it. And so it basically calls out every single elephant in the room. I mean, we don't know when we're talking to somebody, maybe, my hang up was I did think it was a pyramid scheme. I thought that the person that sponsored my daughter was only interested in talking to me because she was going to make all this money. Well, I didn't understand that you can go around your sponsor. I didn't understand a lot of things like that about the business. But if that was my hang up and yours was, I'm not good at sales, then we still haven't, solved the problem. So what we did was just really address all of the things in a really fun, fast way so that whoever you're talking to, whatever it is that they're skeptical about or their hang up is, we're going to address their concern. And so we wrote the books to be given to skeptics. We thought that, if Lori had had a book and could have said, Mom, it sounds like you're talking about something completely different than what I'm talking about. Would you read this? Just read the beginning of it and let's have a conversation. We could have saved a year of time. So we wrote the books believing that they would be used by network marketers to put in the hands of skeptics or the people. When you come home after you've joined a network marketing company and your husband or your mom or your sister or your neighbor's going, oh my gosh, you didn't fall for that. You could say, hey, read this. Maybe, I don't know. It seems like we're talking about different things. you can eliminate a lot of those situations. So that's why we wrote the books. That's ultimately not how the books have been used, though.
Well, we'll get to that. So you wrote the first book and then you wrote a second book. So tell us about the second book.
Yes. So the second book is a sequel. And basically, what happened was after people read the first book, they said, oh my gosh, this is so different than I thought. This makes sense. But how would I know if I would be good at network marketing? I've always been a flight attendant or a realtor or a nurse. And so again, there was a missing piece in the books and the resources that are available. There's nothing that speaks to someone coming in from a completely different traditional job to network marketing to really evaluate, just like you would any other new change in career. So does the shoe fit? And it could be called does the flip-flop fit, because it's really to decide if you're, made for flip-flops. Basically, it bridges the gap between traditional 9-to-5s and network marketing and makes it really easy for somebody to understand these are two different worlds. I mean, in so many ways, network marketing is complete opposite of what we've been taught, actually helping people instead of being worried about them taking your job from you, or, there's just a lot of rules that are very different in the two worlds. And so Does This Shoe Fit is really that book. And it's really also written for somebody that's gotten into network marketing and maybe is not achieving the success that they want to. It talks about the different things that we need to have. We need to have belief in the products, belief in the company, belief in network marketing, and belief in ourselves. And a lot of times people are in the wrong network marketing company. They got brought in by a friend.
What? Did you really say that? I love you. Sorry, keep going.
And I'm not a proponent of like quit your company and go somewhere else, because no matter where you go, there you are. You're going to take all your baggage with you. But it's very possible that you got into this without even got into this. Oh, I'm going to wash my mouth out with soap when I get off of this call.
Yeah, we're just creating awareness. That's all we can do, because like I said, I do the same thing.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I had just sidetracked myself.
Get into network marketing, and is it the right company?
Yeah. So people, a friend says, come on, we got to do this. And the friend doesn't even know what they're doing. And the friend doesn't, people typically do not have the respect for what they are holding in their hands. And if we started anything else, we would respect it. If we mortgaged our house to buy a franchise, we would never treat it the way we treat network marketing. And this is so much better, in my opinion, because we're not risking so much. So that's my story.
Love it. It's good. And I know, the next piece of our conversation is really going to be about how to use these books, and how they've not been used. And before we get into that, I just do want to say, I know where we're going in terms of the first one especially is designed to be a tool to introduce people to the concept who have not yet decided to launch a business with network marketing, to educate them what to look for and different things like that. However, I do still feel, and I know you feel this way too, Janine, that it is a great tool. Even if you have gone ahead and said yes to network marketing, you could be like me and still, when I finally wrote the check. This was before you could sign up online. When I finally wrote the check and filled in the paper application and mailed it in, I'd love to tell you that my negative blueprint went away. It did not. It probably got stronger, to be honest. So that would have been a perfect book for me to say, or for somebody to say to me, understand how to explain network marketing, if nothing else. Because when you read this book and you educate yourself using it, it makes your positioning so much stronger, just even opening that conversation. So tell us about the book, how the intention, how it's been used, and what your thoughts are around that.
I really appreciate you saying that, because that helps me to understand, how we see things from our perspective and we can't imagine any other way of looking at it. I do that a lot. And, it's been a mystery to me why our book is being read so much by network marketers that are already in this business. But that's because they weren't like me. They didn't just all of a sudden change and get it and think, oh my gosh, this is brilliant, everybody needs to know about it. They still had some questions themselves. And so for building your belief, for sure, it's great. And that's what happened, is that most of the people, what happened is that leaders read the book, leaders bought the book for their teams, and they give it to people. I hear it all the time. I give that book to everybody that's new to the business. And I always want to say, wait, let me tell you how to use it. So I do appreciate that. I just hoped that it would be given to somebody that's skeptical. What I hope doesn't happen, and I think it does happen a lot, is that people think they need to read the book and then they need to become proficient at answering all of the objections. So they read it so that they will know what to say when somebody says, oh, I'm not good at sales, or I have to know a lot of people. Well, I don't want people to feel like they have to memorize all those things and then regurgitate it when someone brings that up, because the challenge is when you are in that situation, the dynamics are win-lose. It's a battle. It becomes a debate. And nobody wants to get into that kind of situation. It's not comfortable for either side. And so if you can just use a book and hand somebody this tool and say, it sounds like you've had a different experience than me, and I'm just getting started. I would love your opinion. It made sense to me when I read this, but maybe I'm missing something. What could you read the first 3 chapters? It'll take you a half an hour, and then give me your honest feedback. Tell me what I'm missing. And if you ask somebody in that way, they will do it, because they're going to go into that book thinking, oh, you want to know what you're missing? I'll tell you. And what happens is they come out on the other side going, wow, this is different than I thought. And so I can't even remember exactly what you asked me, but
we were just talking about how to use it, like how to really use the book in both ways, the way that it's intended. And just to
so to add on to that, there is a very specific, and I've just kind of alluded to it, and I do team trainings for people. I mean, if anybody has the books and has a team that wants to know how to use the books, I love doing a training about it, because it's not as simple as you'd think. If you just hand somebody a book, or you mail them a book and tell them that you want them to read it, they're not going to read it. It's going to sit on their nightstand. It's going to sit somewhere, and they're never going to get to it. So again, I'm very intentional, and I think I probably brought my corporate background into this, but I'm very intentional. And I just say to whoever it is, if it's somebody even on your chicken list, you can say, I admire and respect you so much. And I'm doing something that I think makes sense, but maybe I've got a blind spot. Maybe I'm not seeing something. Would you do me a huge favor? Could you spend 30 minutes with this and then get back to me and tell me what you think, or give me your feedback, and a lot of time I did this with my doctor. I was going to this hormone doctor, and I wanted to talk to her about the business, but I didn't know how to go from being the patient sitting there to talking to her about this. And yet every time I'd go in, she'd talk about how much she loves traveling and doing all these things. And I'm thinking, how the heck do you stand coming to this office every day? And so I thought, how can I do this? And so I kind of made up this. The next time I went in, I said, you know what? I am part of this little group, and we're supposed to get professional people's feedback on this book that we're reading, and just get honest feedback for somebody like you. You're the perfect person. Would you do me a huge favor and read, this 30 minutes of this book? And she said, okay. And I said, do you think you could do it in a week? And that's the other thing. You really want to be specific. And she said, yeah, I think so. She goes, yeah, give me a week and call me back. And I said, okay. So I waited a week, called her back. She said, oh my gosh, I haven't gotten to it, but I promise I will now. So we had a real agreement. So another week passed. I called her back, and she said, oh my gosh, there are no accidents. She goes, I've been having a friend of mine in Hawaii try to talk to me about her business for years, and I wouldn't give her the time of day. And now I understand why she wanted me to listen to her. So it didn't help me in that situation, but it's like the starfish story. I don't know if you know the starfish story, but one more starfish, one more person now isn't skeptical and understands this business model. So there's really a specific way to use the books, but they are super effective.
Well, and I think that's a beautiful story. And I know this is what you meant. I mean, it didn't benefit you in terms of her joining your organization and working together and all that, but it definitely benefited you from a mindset
Yes.
and another checkbox that said, this profession is legitimate. This profession is legitimate for any professional, doctor, lawyer, baker, teacher, nurse, whatever. It's legitimate. And it's just one more reassurance that gives you the bravery, that's not the word, but gives you the guts, I don't know, to approach one more person who might be on your chicken list. So yeah, that's a great story.
Exactly. And I've had people, honestly, that I've talked to that have said, oh my gosh, I bet I've given away 20 of your books. And I would say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that I bet those people didn't even read the books. And the truth is that we're not going to change anyone's perception if somebody doesn't open the book. And so I had a conversation with this gal and I said, do me a favor. If you've got anybody else that you want to talk to, will you do this? Will you ask her for 30 minutes? Will you ask her, can she do it in a week? Will you follow up with her? So she said, okay, I'll do it. And I talked to her again and she said, I am so glad I listened to you. I went back to this gal that was a golf pro at her country club, and she had been trying to talk to her about the business. She wouldn't give her the time of day. She went back to her, she read it, and she was joining her business. So I hear those stories and I know it works. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping people understand how to use the books so that they're going to really create change with the people around you.
Yeah, and that creates change personally. And I don't know, for me, what really came to mind is, one a day in play keeps corporate America away, which is kind of it. It's like if each person would just focus, and by the way, I wouldn't give anything away. There's no value in free. We all know that. How many free bonuses are sitting somewhere in your email, somewhere in a PDF download that you did? I mean, free is everywhere. Free is everywhere, and there's no value in free. We know that. So loaning a book with intention, with a specific set of tasks, read the first 3 chapters. It will take you 30 minutes. Can you have this accomplished in a week? Because I have somebody else to give this book to next week. Setting a sense of urgency, a task, and a deadline, and then being bold enough to stay current with the follow-up, and then basically giving them one more week and then taking it away. There's so much power when you first create curiosity. What is in this book that I have to read and that I need to do it in a week, and whatever. Curiosity killed the cat or brought in the new distributor, however you want to look at it. But yeah, so when you're really intentional with those steps, it can be great. And then you've got activity in your business. You know what you're going to be doing every day. And you're just keeping those books in play constantly out there, picking them up, whatever. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Janine. Tell me how that fits with you, and tell me how you educate people in using it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly what you said. I mean, you just said everything that I say. I mean, it is, have a couple of books and use them very intentionally and just rotate them. Don't just give somebody a book. I mean, we really are only going to educate anyone if they read it. And I have seen that when people read it, they are changed. Their mind is changed. And for all the people that get into this business and immediately alienate themselves because they are so excited and they just sort of start saying all these things, and the person that they're talking to looks at them like they have 3 heads because they've all of a sudden changed who they are. I mean, we can eliminate that alienation that happens in the beginning too. I think if we can, we have two issues with our business is is recruitment, but also retention. Retention is a huge issue. And that's another thing that I think Does This Shoe Fit is good for, because it helps people set up the right expectations that have gotten into the business. If they are used to working for a paycheck and trading time for money, they're going to be disappointed because they're building something that is very different, and the reward is very different. The reward is freedom at the end, or more time freedom. And so it's really important. We assume that people know these things, and they don't. So again, it's just so important for people that do get into this business to understand what they're in, understand how it works, understand that it's delayed gratification, and that, and make sure that they are with the right company, that they, and that their beliefs in network marketing are strong. If their belief in network marketing is shaky, read the Flip Flop CEO. And, but Does This Shoe Fit is going to help a person really sort of be prepared and set up the right expectations getting into the business.
I want to kind of reflect on the power and what you said in terms of, delayed gratification and a lot of that. And I have a podcast that's called The Harvest Can't Be Prevented. So I want to talk about planting seeds and when you harvest them and the timeline of success. So the reality of it is life and business intersect in so many ways. So you think of the farmer who goes out and plants seeds. He goes and buys those seeds yesterday, right? Or today we go and buy the seeds. We know that if we plant those tomorrow, the next day they're not going to have sprouted. And it's the same in a business. So you have to understand the planting, cultivating, watering that ultimately leads to the harvest. It's the same in business. And you have to understand the timeline of success, which basically says the same thing. And then we have to think about our own paradigms. So you're listening to this and you're hearing Janine's story of a year going by. My story, honestly, I was introduced to network marketing. I was 18 or 19 the first time. I was super intrigued with the circles. I'm dating myself. But at the same time, no. And then I ultimately signed the check. I believe it was I 31? Yeah, I was 31 when I finally launched my first network marketing business. So you have to understand the timeline of success, and you have to be willing to give other people the grace also for you to plant the seed with them. What happens is all of a sudden our light bulb gets turned on and we think everybody else should be on our same time frame, and they're not. That doesn't mean that they're not ever going to be. And that doesn't mean that they're not thinking about it, losing sleep over it, pondering it, waiting for when the time is going to be right for them. Even if you plant that seed by loaning them a book, they don't read it, you give them another week, they still don't read it, you pick it up, you take it away and let them stew on that. Some people, it's never going to make any difference. They're really not open, they're not looking. That's how it is in anything. But some people, that's going to create, a little scratchy spot, and they're going to want to keep itching that and wonder what that is, and, creating curiosity. And then 6 months, a couple things might happen. They might call you and say, "You've really got me curious. Could I borrow that book again?" Great. Or you circle back in 6 months and say, "Hey, I know the timing wasn't right for you, but this book has made a huge difference in my life. I wonder if you might be open to reading it now." Just different things like that. So there's so many pieces of language and so many different components of doing the process of building the business where you don't feel the ick factor of sales. You don't stutter and stumble and think, I don't know what to say. I don't want to look stupid. Do I have to know everything? You just learn a couple of specific skill sets, and then you let the tools do the heavy lifting for you, for sure. So I think that that's important, that timeline of success.
Well, and the other thing is it duplicates. I mean, the name of the game in our business is duplication. And even a brand new rep can hand somebody a book. And so we want to give people tools that can be used right from the get-go. And I love your analogy about the garden. I use that exact same analogy in Does This Shoe Fit to help people understand. It's like, different crops too take different times to come up. If we plant carrots or corn or whatever. And we're not going to sit there and, just be begging them to come up any sooner than they're going to. I mean, this is exactly the same way as that. And one thing that I thought of when you were saying that is what does happen a lot of times when somebody reads the book, if it's somebody that you admire and respect and you're asking for their feedback, a lot of times they'll come back and say, oh my gosh, I kept thinking about my sister when I was reading this, or my next door neighbor. She keeps talking about, so you really do get referrals from people, even if they're not. And you can even say, I know your life is perfect, but you are somebody that I've always really admired. And you probably have a lot of friends like yourself. And I would love for you to read this and just see if there's anybody that you can think of in your life that might come to mind. I mean, so I have scripts for different scenarios that I provide for people that have gone through the training or whatever. And I'm happy to share those. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can approach every single person in your warm market to either get them on your side, get them to stop saying you shouldn't be doing this, or to get them to send you referrals, or to introduce them to something that they may think they would have never thought about.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, so I don't want to spend a ton of time here, but let's talk about the reality that some people do choose the wrong company to begin with. And how can we give people permission to not feel like a failure if they do reach the point where they say, I love the profession, I love the concept, this is not the right company for me? Because I always say, as network marketers, we tell everybody to think outside the box. They join us in the business. I'm using language that I don't like by saying join us, but they choose to launch their own business with us, working as a team. And then we have a tendency to want to put them in our box. Our company is the only one that's right. Don't look anywhere else, whatever. There's a difference between chasing bright, shiny objects, which I've done before. I'll be the first to admit I've chased, bright, shiny objects before. And I've done a good job of not doing that at times too. So I think it's important to understand the difference. But with some people, there's going to be that time when they realize they've made a wrong choice. So what are your thoughts on that, Janine?
We talk about that a lot in Does This Shoe Fit? And I think, the challenge is that everybody that's in network marketing, in my opinion, most of them are pretty excited about the company they're with. They think it's the best company ever. And it may be the only experience they've ever had. They haven't looked at anything else, but they really are sold on it being the best because they're surrounded by this tribe of people that feels that way. But the truth is that each company, there's a culture. There's a personality to companies, and some are more male dominated than female. There's some that are, really fast in social media, and there's some that take a different approach. So there's so many factors to consider. And for sure, the products, even maybe if you believe in the products, do you have access to a community of people that would use those products? And, I think that people need to look at it more as a business decision. We look at it, we kind of get into it almost like it's a religion or something, and forget to really look at it as what makes sense as a business. So there are a lot of different things to evaluate, and I think it's really important to do that. If for any reason, you are not out there excited every day to be sharing what you're sharing, there's something that you could be excited about. Don't try to make this right when it's not naturally right. I think the more authentically we can share what we're representing, the better off we are. We need to be doing this because we would be doing it whether we were getting paid for it or not. I mean, there are certain skills that we need to apply, and we need to be, dedicated and treat it like a real business. But we really need to be. And for me, what I am the most excited about is the vehicle. I am excited about the vehicle of network marketing to change someone's life. And, the business and the products part of it is certainly a part of the equation, but there's a lot of different parts of the equation, and it's important to look at all of them to make sure that you are solid on all of them and ready to go out there and share with people.
Yeah, it's true. And it sounds cliche, and maybe if you're listening to this, you've heard this before, but we talk about it really as the greatest self-improvement course that's out there. It's a self-improvement course with a compensation plan. And it's so true, because I look back at myself and I think my confidence, my bravery, my willing to face fear and push through it, my ability to let go of limiting beliefs and stories that I've made up from the past about myself, about other people, reframing the word failure, reframing the word rejection. So many different things in my life have changed. And it's kind of like talking about, the benefit of my children, certainly my daughter, growing up listening to personal development and receiving it through osmosis of driving around, listening to it, or me having it on at home or whatever. The benefits that don't involve the income potential are priceless in and of themselves. But they work together, because when you build those benefits, when you build that mindset and those skill sets and those assets that you're creating in yourself as a business leader and as a business owner and as a business person, it shows up on the monetary side of things too. So it's funny how that works.
Well, and I love everything you're saying. That's so important. I feel like one of my other passions is this business for baby boomers, because I am a baby boomer. And I know that there are a lot of people out there, I see them all the time, that are shrinking their dreams to fit their budget instead of thinking about increasing their income, because they feel like, what am I going to do? How am I going to get a job? I'm, 65 years old. What are my options? This is a business that is such a perfect fit for that generation, because we do have a good work ethic. But the biggest challenge is just the misconception. It's the perception of what this business is versus the reality of it. And so what I just really, really encourage people, us as network marketers, to do is enlighten those around us. We have to be the change we wish to see. If we want people to think differently and to understand this business, we have to be the ones to educate people, because nobody else is going to do it. I am so appalled by even the media and the things that continue, the myths that continue to be perpetuated. I saw something about TikTok, which I don't even know what TikTok is, but they weren't allowing network marketers and other pyramid schemes in their format. Those are wrong. And we have to be the ones to stand up to those kinds of terms to educate everyone around us. And because this is exactly what so many people are looking for, but they don't recognize it. I didn't recognize it. And so I get that there are a lot of people out there that don't recognize it.
Yeah, it's true. We're there to up level the reputation of network marketing, for sure. And one thing that we haven't even addressed, you talk about being a baby boomer and how it's perfect. People, this is 2021, January of 2021, recording this. I don't know when you'll be listening to this, but the world has changed dramatically in the last year. We all know it. And there is, in my opinion, there's no better time. I've been a network marketing professional. It'll be 27 years on the 21st of January, just shy of when we're recording this. In all of that time, there have been peaks and valleys with economics and everything, recessions that have gone on. There's never been a better time than right now, because people are hurting, they're looking, they're downsized, their incomes are off, they've got health issues, they're worried, they're trying to, work and have children at home being homeschooled. There's so many different reasons that this is the solution that people don't know that they're looking for. So using the tools, educating yourself enough to be able to use the tools so that you don't run into a situation where you say too much to people, you say the wrong thing, you sound hypey, you sound salesy, and you turn people off. Just taking a little bit of time to learn the tools, the business skills, and then just use those. wow, no better time than right now.
Absolutely. And that brings up everything you say, just makes me want to go off on another. I think it's such an important time too for us to take responsibility of, again, educating the people that have gotten into it. Because I think right now, gotten into it, that have started their own business, because there are a lot of people that now, I mean, network marketing is booming right now. A lot of people have jumped in, but retention is the other issue. A lot of people are going to jump in and jump out because they don't have the proper expectations. They are not supported correctly. And then it's even worse, because then they are out, and when you try to talk to them about network marketing, oh, I tried that. Yeah, I did that. Didn't work.
Tried that.
And they're basically throwing the baby out with the bathwater. They're chalking up their experience, and their experience may have just been that somebody said, do this. They joined in, they didn't do anything with it. They didn't know what they had. They didn't have any direction. They didn't have the right expectations. Now they're out and they're thinking, yeah, that didn't work for me. So really, we have this opportunity now to make sure that the people that are taking advantage of this opportunity to have a virtual online business respect it and understand what to do with it, and help them be successful, because that's how we're going to change the perception as well.
I love it. Janine, thank you so much. This is going to be a two-parter because we've gone on, but that's great. So tell everybody how they can learn more about you, the Flip Flop CEO. Give us some steps to take next.
Yes. So the Flip Flop CEO, we have a Facebook page, an Instagram page where we share, quotes from the books and those kinds of things. So anybody in network marketing, we'd love to have you join us there. You can buy the books right now. We are actually at a point at this moment where we are deciding to go digital. The books are available on Audible and Kindle, and have been. And we've had the physical books, the little soft books since the books were written, but it's just becoming so expensive to kind of deal with all of that. So right now we are selling the inventory that we have for $5 a book, which is, we've never even really had the books be on sale before. So it's a really good time to grab a copy if that's, and I think I'm surprised at how many people say they want to hold a book. So, and maybe we'll bring them back at some point if we have a lot of requests for that. But for right now, you can get the books for the first time ever for $5 using the code CLARITY on our website, the Flip Flop CEO. If you go to Amazon, we can't control the price there, so you can buy the book there as well. But again, the Flip Flop CEO is available on Audible and Kindle, and Does the Shoe Fit is available on Kindle and soon to be on Audible. We're waiting for the approval process. And one thing that brings up is it's good to ask the person that you're sharing the book with, what's the best way for you to read a book? Is it Audible? Do you like to listen? Do you like a Kindle? So it's really important. Again, we're wanting it to work for them, to find out which way is going to work best for them. So sorry.
That's okay. Always good to honor your prospect and ask them what's best for you.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. And I know those listening got a ton of value out of it. I did too. It just always reinforces my decision, my passion, and where we're headed for sure.
Thank you, Jackie. I love everything that you're doing. You just exemplify professionalism in our profession. And so I'm grateful for all the things that you're doing. Thank you so much for letting me share all of this today.
Thank you for sharing. Okay, so there you have it. Wow, we covered a lot of ground, and I hope you were taking notes. My request for you is that you share this with your team, with anyone who might be evaluating network marketing, trying to see if the shoe fits. Share this with them and see how well it does for you. Hey, and if you like what you're hearing here on the podcast, you've got to join me in the Street Smart Wealth Academy, where we take all of this, we package it into the right messaging, marketing, and mindset to allow you to truly soar in your business. Join me over there, streetsmartwealthacademy.com. And until next time, remember this,
Hesitation never cashed a check. Good luck to you in your business. If you would like even more tips and training, I have a free gift for you over at streetsmartwealth.me. It's my guide, Unleash the Power of Social Selling. If you're ready to stop struggling in your business and develop a sales and social media strategy to attract your ideal clients, team partners, and create the success you dream about, grab the guide right now over at streetsmartwealth.me. You'll find more on my blog at streetsmartwealth.com, as well as my Facebook group, streetsmartwealthschool.com, and follow me on Instagram at Jackie Ulmer. And make sure you learn more about the Street Smart Wealth Academy over at streetsmartwealthacademy.com. I'll see you on the next show.